Thank you for tuning into the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afio Levi Israel. Now, if you're interested in helping us promote our brand, please feel free to donate to our Cash App. Our Cash App is $Afiel Levi. That's APHIELLEVI. And that'll go directly to the Forefront Radio so we can produce more incredible shows for you to listen to. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download this free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you.
Turn heads when I walk through. Head wrap, minus when I walk through. Original style when I walk through. I show you how it's done when I walk through. Everybody like go. Everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. God is my stylist. He make me look stylish. Gold bracelets on my wrist, and my dress code righteous. Modesty you do not know. Why do you perm let it go? I'ma embrace who I am. My willy hell let it flow.
Okay, I see you shut it down. Fashion game, you got it on lockdown. They tryna copy you. Ayy, the way you dress, yeah, you the baddest thing around.
Everybody like go. Everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it.
Style on it, you the style on them. Man, I see you got creative with it, versatile on them. I see you killing the game, you committing crimes on them. If a hater criticize, you just gotta smile on them. Man, I see you put a lot of energy, I know you do it for your man. Ayy, walking out the block, you got him feeling like the man, like you got a dime piece. Ayy, yeah, that's the 10, ayy, going all out. Ayy, set the trend. If your mind ain't right, then it don't mean nothing to me. Pretty looks, but you're too vain, you a front to me. Before appearances, you gotta be some coming to me. Ayy, actions, speak clear, show something to me. Better know that. Yeah, I gotta keep it real with you. If you're superficial, then a prophet can't deal with you. If you're a dragon, baby, I ain't tryna chill with you. From the start, yeah, I gotta keep it real with you. What?
Everybody like go. Everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Everybody like go. Everybody wanna know where you get your style from. And they keep saying, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, I like your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Your fashion style, you kill it. Fashion style, you kill it. Kill it. Today just ain't a good day for me. I feel short. Turn around and felt my spirit take a couple steps away from me. I couldn't believe I did it. I did it. I did it. The sin that I committed, I admit it. Confess my faults, I'm sorry, most high, I pray I'm forgiven. Shame on me. I never meant to break your laws. My flesh was weak and made me fall. Repentance is my only chance to witness how to live right. We don't have much time. We have to get it right this time before you come back and seal the 144. Oh, I feel your judgment drawing and don't know when it's coming, but I know it is. My conscience keeps on taunting me. Oh, shame on me. Shame, yeah. No, I'm the one to blame. Accountable for all my actions, causing unnecessary pain. Forgive me, Most High, I know I was wrong. I know this child can only make me stronger, but only if I turn away from the sin and vow to never do this thing again. You could have took my life away time and time again, but I thank you, Lord, you saw my work wasn't finished. I faced the east and raised both my hands, open my mouth and pray towards your land, Lord. We don't have much time. We have to get it right this time before you come back and seal the 144. Oh, I feel your judgment drawing and don't know when it's coming, but I know it is. My conscience keeps on taunting me. Oh, shame on me.
You must do it today. Whatever Yah has put in you, be confident in it. All of those gifts, every last drop, you must do it today. 'Cause Yah's Ruach is yearning to move through you. He's been waiting so long for you. Oh, obedience, don't delay. Don't delay. Don't delay. Oh, don't delay. 'Cause you must do it today. You must do it today. You must do it today. All those gifts, every last drop, you must do what He's called you to do today. Has it been scratching at you? Has it been tapping on your shoulder? Has it been nudging at you? Oh, get up, get up and do and move and be free, 'cause you must do it today. You must do it today. You must do it. Obedience.
Broken crown. True story. Remember when I said I give you all the praise? The night that I realized demons and angels real, but I'm caught in a daze. My brother was afraid. He said he felt like spirits squeezing all over his chest. Then I sent out my prayers, cried with all my tears, reading the book of Psalms. I asked you to conquer my fears. Then I saw it was true. The Bible is the truth. Them spirits left them out of breath, but now I see the proof. What's my identity? This ain't serenity. My life's a struggle in a bubble full of evil deeds. I used to go to church, but evil's gotten worse. Sung for the choir, smoking ganja till my lungs hurt. I was a fornicator, I was a wicked nigga, made in America like figurines and action figures. But then I figured out, the scripture's my way out. I'm God's chosen, soul was broken, but I'm hopeful now. Repented of my sins, keeping the laws within. Now all my borders blue, now I'm rocking my friends. Now I'm an Israelite, now I'm a son of God. Now wake up my people, we are the broken crowns.
There's a war inside my head, and I'm drowning in regret. When the lights come down, got an empty crown. My body's missing pieces, can't pull it all together. My body's missing pieces, I wish I could remember. My body's missing pieces, can't pull it all together. My body's missing pieces, I wish I could remember. There's a war inside my head, and I'm drowning in regret. When the lights come down, got an empty crown.
You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio. Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to The Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. At this time, we're going to talk about the truth about slavery. The truth about slavery. The so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, are the literal 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. You are the children of the slave trade. The prophets in the Bible, from Moses all the way to Jesus, warned us that if we broke the commandments of the Most High, we would be punished as a race of people. On your spare time, please feel free to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68. This has happened to no other nation on the planet. The reason why I bring up this information is because there's much debate over the conflict going on over there and I don't want to use the word conflict because it's really massive war and crimes against humanity, but I want to use the terms that some of the media folk are using. The quote-unquote conflict over there in Northeast Africa, the area that they call Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, right? These people are going over there fighting a war over land that don't even belong to them. I'm going to prove that by showing you that the actual Jews of the Bible are so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, people that were affected by the slave trade. So our children would be taken from us and given to another race. And we could not do anything to stop it from happening. This can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." We would also be forced to work for food, water, clothing, and anything else that we may need. Chains of iron were also placed on our necks until we were destroyed as a race of people. This can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. It says this, "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." Once the yokes of chains, the iron, were removed from our necks as a race, once we were mentally and spiritually destroyed as a people and divided into false religions and false nationalities, we became Negroes. We became Haitians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Panamanians, Brazilians. We became all these titles that the world has given us. But the Bible says that the children of Israel would have chains of iron on their necks, that they would serve their enemy for food, water, clothing, and everything that they need. These same people would forget who they are. They would forget their identity. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 46, and it says this, "If they sin against thee," referring to God, "if they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives into the land of the enemy, far or near." Deuteronomy 28, verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. What race of people were removed from their land and taken to all the kingdoms of the earth? Did that happen to the so-called Jewish people? Were they put on slave ships and taken to all the different parts of the world? No, they were not. No, they were not. The only race of people this happened to were the so-called Hispanics, the so-called blacks, the so-called Negroes, the so-called Indians. These people were taken from places like Spain, places like Portugal, then shipped to different areas all across the world. They fled into West Africa, fleeing from persecution, and then they were taken on slave ships to South America, to the Caribbean islands, to North America, to Asia, to Australia, and other areas all across the world. When the Bible says we're moved into all the kingdoms of the earth, it means just that. Literally, the global slave trade was something happened on such a massive scale that you think that it's not documented that this would happen. This is a prophecy in the Bible. We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy, meaning what? This prediction that was written by Moses was made thousands of years before it actually happened. When we read that a race of people would be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth, we have to use logic here and say, who did this happen to historically? Did this happen to the Chinese? Did this happen to the Russians? Did this happen to the Polish people? Did this happen to the German people? Did this happen to American people? Did this happen to people from London? No, it did not. Did it happen to Arabic people? No, it did not. The only race of people that were taken into a global slave trade was you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I'll give you an example. Over 200 million people died during the conquest of the quote-unquote New World. The American Holocaust, and over 100 million during the Middle Passage, which is the slave trade. Let me say it again. Over 200 million people died just in them conquering the land of the quote-unquote New World. And over 100 million people died during the slave trade. That doesn't include people that were killed during the times of lynchings. It doesn't include those. So the Bible says that these people would be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. That's Deuteronomy 28, verse 25, and 1 Kings 8, verse 46. Now let's look at something briefly. Here's a dictionary definition found from the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, and it states this: Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably 96 years before the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but of the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Africans. Ham is the father of the African nations, but not the father of the Negroes. So that tells you something. In the Bible dictionary itself, they know, the people that wrote this compact Bible dictionary, they know that the people that we call Negroes or colored or people of color, or whatever you want to call them, are not actually descendants of Ham, but they're actually descendants of Shem. Shem brought forth Abraham. Abraham brought forth Isaac, and Isaac brought forth Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. The people that we call Negroes are actually the descendants of Israel. Here's an example found also in the New Testament. In the book of Luke chapter 21, verse 20 to 22, the Messiah says that those that are in Jerusalem will flee during the time of Roman persecution and have to flee into the mountains of Africa, the deep places of Africa. They lived in northeast Africa, and in 70 AD, during the fall of Jerusalem, these people fled into north, south, west Africa. We fled into Africa after the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD, according to Luke chapter 21, verse 20 through 22. Then we were captured during the slave trade and sold to the nation of Edom, which is the Caucasian races, right? The people that did these were the Arabs during the Arabic slave trade, and also indigenous Africans sold Negroes for guns. So when you hear the phrase, oh, Africans sold Africans into slavery, this is an incorrect statement. The indigenous Hamites, Africans, sold these Jewish blacks, these black Jews into slavery. These Negroes were the ones taken into slavery. Let's look at another Bible verse that solidifies a few history facts that we know. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68 says this: "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." With ships. So now let's examine Egypt for a moment. The first place that the children of Israel were taken out of slavery was the land of Egypt. When the Most High says that he will bring you into Egypt again, he's referring to bondage or slavery. The proof of this is found in Exodus chapter 20 verse 2, and it states this: "I am the Lord your God who have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." So Egypt is synonymous with bondage. Another word for bondage, captivity. Another word for captivity, slavery. So let's read again on 1 Kings chapter 8 verse 46. "If they sin against thee," referring to God, "for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near." So there were people that were taken into slavery as captives and taken into the land of the enemy, far from Jerusalem and near to Jerusalem. So that means there are people that were taken into slavery close in the Middle East area, taken into parts of Ethiopia, taken into parts of India, taken into parts of Iran, Iraq, and then far from Jerusalem into England, into the Netherlands, into Russia, into America, North, South, and Central America, taken into the Caribbean islands, far from Jerusalem. We're reading directly out of the Bible that the reason that these people went into slavery was because they sinned. They had a special covenant with the creator of all things, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And because the covenant was broken, they were taken into slavery on slave ships far from Jerusalem and near to Jerusalem. So let's continue reading. In Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt," or bondage or slavery, "again with ships." How did the so-called Negro come to America? With ships. How did the Jamaicans get to Jamaica? With ships. How did the Haitians, the Trinidadians, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans get into those lands? It wasn't a yacht. It wasn't a tugboat. It was a slave ship. How did they get to Panama? How did they get to Brazil? How did they get to Chile? How did they get to Paraguay, Uruguay? How did they get to these far reaches? How did they get to Canada? How did they get to Jamestown, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, New York, New Amsterdam? They got there through ships. They were taken on slave ships. What am I reading? I'm reading the Bible, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. Many people don't believe in the Bible, but when you actually read the Bible and study history, it all correlates with each other. There is no way that such a global event could happen and it not be documented in the Bible. Like I said earlier, we call it history, the Bible calls it prophecy. It's a prediction that was made thousands of years before it happened. And now we're understanding that these things written in this book are not idle words. They're not a fairy tale. That means there is a God, and he's the God of the Israelites. If he's able to punish his own people, what do you think will happen to these evil nations that are on the earth? What do you think will happen to North America? What do you think will happen to South America, the Caribbean islands, Europe, Asia, the continents of Africa, Australia? What do you think will happen to these nations that have done this supreme injustice on a global level? I'll leave that for you to conjecture on your own. Let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64 states this: "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." So let's pause to meditate on that for a second. There are a race of people that were taken and scattered. Scattered how? Through slavery. They were scattered amongst all people. You have black folks that live in America. You have black folks that live in Canada. You have black folks that live in Mexico. You have black folks that live all over this planet. And how did they arrive there? Via slavery. Now, when they got to these far off lands, were they following their own religions? No. They went into Islam and become Islamic people. They went into Christianity and call themselves Christian to this day. They're the most religious people, but they don't follow their own biblical teachings. They follow the teachings of the other nations that enslaved them. There are photographs of Native Americans captured by the Spaniards. There are documents and books. There's a book, for example, that I have called The Destruction of the Indies by Bartolomé de las Casas. And in this book, it documents the genocide that was created by the Spaniards when they came to the islands and enslaved the people and brought them forth over to Spain and to different parts of Europe. It's documented history. And the same thing happened to the so-called Negroes. The so-called Negroes, these blacks that live in America and in Europe and in the Caribbean islands, in South America, Central America, Canada, these same people are the same very ones that society maligns, but they're actually God's chosen people. This is the truth about slavery that so many people don't understand, that so many people don't know, that so many people have not realized. For those of you that are descendants of the slave trade, I share this information with you in the hopes that you would wake up to your true history, your true nationality, your true identity according to the Bible. And not only will you learn this information, but you will accept this information and say, you know what? I'm going to fix what my ancestors got wrong. I'm going to decide to follow the laws, the rules, the regulations, the statutes in the Bible and do what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob requires of me. In Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12, it says, "And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee?" What does God require of us once we learn this information? What does the Most High want us to do after we learn this wonderful information about our history? He wants us to be obedient children, to fear Him, to walk in His ways, to keep His commandments, to keep the true religion of the Bible is keeping the commandments of the Most High God. That's the true religion. And it's not grievous to do. You have to strive to walk upright. You have to strive to do what this Bible says, because it's going to be a blessing if we're obedient to it. So I appreciate you tuning into the Forefront Radio. This is just part 1 of the truth about slavery. I wanted to share this information with you in the hopes that you would gain more knowledge and insight to your history according to the Bible. So thank you for tuning into the Forefront Radio.
Parce qu'on grandit sans maman, sans papa. Ça va bien tout pas qu'à vie, non maman. Moi pas qu'à vie, non papa. Pour nous faire mon foyer, les petits moun nan krek bon Dieu. Pas de raison pour dire que ou aller. Parce que si ou aller, allez pas retourner.
I'ma give you one more chance and you better choose me. Can't be done with my head, what it's gon' be. We can't be together unless we agree. Showed you my love, but you never believe. My love, never gonna change my love. How you gonna play these games and claim my love? How you gonna forsake my love? And we was a thing from the very beginning.
You know it's action time when a real OG pull up. It's about that time I come your way, wanna see what's up, what's up. You know it's showtime when a real OG pull up. Are you ready or not? Are you ready or not? Are you ready or not for me?
up. What a spirit nobody can touch. My blessing, you go get that enough. My love, I will provide for you. My love, you know my love is true. Chosen, not forsake my love. Ready up behind, I pull you up. What a spirit nobody can touch. My blessing, you go get that enough. My love, I will provide for you. My love, you know my love is true.
My lord,
Yeah.
I don't think they're ready for this.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think they're ready for this. Ninja vibes and Levite sound on the track. Come on, let's go.
Baby girl, tell me what you really wanna do. 'Cause two is better than one, I can't do without you. For God make a woman feel them with a rip from them side. So me recognize you, and me real from the day me saw you.
Can you take direction? Are you gonna learn your lesson? Are you a curse or a blessing? Are you gonna have me stressing? Yeah.
Revolutionary man need a woman revolutionary. Ride or die, you have to fit in the category. Me don't want no dragon in my life, cause that's unnecessary. Them type of woman, they I send you in a cemetery.
A silent woman, always loving, always make me merry. Supportive, and she help me fight the adversary. Never go hungry, cause she put food in on me belly. I never do benevolence, then she always ready. Loyalty, you have to qualify. Me no want no girl we never ever satisfied. Me no want no temporary, want a ride or die. You know fit the criteria, baby girl, don't try, don't know.
Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, 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 yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, 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 yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yes, I was made for you. You're revolutionary woman. I follow your lead, 'cause you are my king. Be a supporting, always give you love. Take care of the house, keep the children in mind. Apply the scriptures and try not to fight. Do everything that you desire. Your zeal for the most high is what I truly admire. Admire, admire, admire. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, 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 yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, 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 yeah. Two are better than one, on that we can agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Deux meilleurs que yon, oui c'est ça que better than one. Parce que si moi tombé, faut bonne force pour me lever. Yon femme, yon garçon, mais faut moi bien enseigner. Pour si m'nan wood coach, wap ka guide nan chemin. Appliquer toute sa biblique, fondation nous c'est la loi. Même Jean avec Jésus-Christ, pour Israël, baille la ville. Enseigner et nourrir, avant c'est ça pour me faire tout. Ensemble nous c'est heirs, pour nous recevoir royaume ciel. Mon Dieu créé Adam et Ève, li pas de bali morti. Pour Ève c'est bien chez vous, pas besoin père, non Dieu et ou mettre comme si nous suivons la loi, pas dans tristesse. M'vlo konon c'est yon princesse, n'en fait la bonne nous toute richesse. Moun qui parle qui c'est Israël, ensemble si nous suivons li n'a blesse. On nous enjoy tout le moment et retirer tout stress. On nous continue à prendre en unité, vivre ensemble pour porter un bel exemple. Et vivre avec bon comprendre, pour vivre avec bon comprendre. Yeah.
I wartime, meditate, tear up on my mind. Hands press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team. Well, if I war, then it is roll deep round 12 noon. Pull up then lock down street. Hit spot, jump out at the 4-door Jeep. And we match black pants and boots, pan feet. Let me reach for the back. Pull out the heat, man, I spray with the weapon and I listen them a teach. In a wartime, we no two trace like y'all. We no take tough chat, boot reach boy teeth. I'm a heart too cold, man, I no bomb mercy. Cops and marap on the damn concrete. Hey, all I shot that boy, me no skin teeth. If you know some me grim, man, me come here so fi reap blood reach to the regular. Base full of lead, can the weapon the siren go come and set the pan repeat. Man, a victory dance, cause the boy them get the feet. Last man standing, so the mission complete. You see, wartime, meditate, tear up on my mind. Hands press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team in a wartime. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team.
Real warriors, war for the truth. You know, sister, them a name come through. Only wisdom when them have is just a wisdom tooth. You forget the W, you just is dumb fool. You just attack, you no make sense. High password, circle remnants. PKs off with the tabernacle war. That means everything getting intense. In my war, we a blast off when we start fast. Every dog we a bark off, if it talks off. Load up the ammunition, then before him don't talk. Then me pull it in his face and make it fly to him out. From my war, we a blast off when we start fast. Every dog we a bark off, if it talks off. Load up the ammunition, then before him don't talk. Then me pull it in his face and make it fly to him out.
Wartime, meditate, tear up on my mind. Hands press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team in a wartime. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team.
Say them a gun like the real bad man. No, them not know about the real gunman. Gotta kill man from 19 all long. Warlord me a solve him a the dung gun. So that go swing pon the left and pon the right. Then I drop and I dead like fly. Blood fall like rain from sky. Suicide judgment, who won't try? Rapids can't dead, my blood not shed. Got head, take said, strong faith can't fret. Once first, no blessed, just soldiers on vets. Cast lots, one bet, he don't play dead. Yeah, the general full of war tactics. Golden sword, them not come plastic. Meditate, Pantera, man, it fantastic. Man flex in a war like gymnastics.
It's a wartime, meditate, tear up on my mind. Hands press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team in a wartime. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team.
Man ready long time. Pretty war me walk up. Like a block, me circle them up. Every bone in them body, the saints I break up. Like Samson, heap up and eat them pile up. From a war, this a action place. 2S sword, while life get waste. Body stand stiff, when marrow misplaced. Man up for the killing, me no have time to waste.
No chasing shot to them face like liquor, like Cersei. Everybody knows me bitter. Same time go eat them food like Snickers. Brother iron, break them to shivers. Energy, me not beg my friend. Food violate them life a go end. They rather iron and no design for them. From a wartime, me no bluff, not pretend.
A wartime, meditate, tear up on my mind. Hands press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team in a wartime. Meditate, tear up on my mind. Pants press, boot of his shine. Man terrible in a wartime. Dream team.
Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. We now have a Cash App. The link is in the description of the page here on anchor.fm, also on Spotify. We appreciate you listening in. We do have a few features that we are including now. We are selling a few products such as watches, perfumes, colognes, and other products will be available for our Israelite community as well as the general community of the population. We have a Facebook page. Just type in the Forefront Media and you'll be able to get updates of various shows that we drop when they do drop. Please do share this show if you like the show, and we do hope that you do love this show. And tune in for more episodes once we have them available. Thank you for listening to The Forefront. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel.